Hello everyone, my name is Julie and I'm one of the marketing coordinators with BCIT School of Health Sciences. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this information session for the Occupational Health and Safety Program. First off, I want to say how happy we are to see you all and thank you for attending our presentation today. And just before we get started, I wanted to mention that BCIT acknowledges that our province of British Columbia is located on the homelands of 203 distinct Indigenous nations and cultures, with over 30 different languages and close to 60 unique dialects are spoken in the province. We ask that all participants reflect, acknowledge, and honor in their own way the First Nation land on which they live, work, and play. Today we will, I'll introduce a couple of people that are on with us today. We're going to have a video, a presentation, an overview of how to apply, and then a Q&A, open Q&A portion. We have today with us Bobby Sidhu, who's the program head, and Maninder Desi, who is a program advisor. And now over to you, Bobby.
So welcome everybody to the BCIT Occupational Health and Safety Diploma info session. I will also just talk about our certificate program for those who are interested. Okay, yeah, so I guess we'll start with the video.
I love my job because I get fulfillment from it, knowing that people get to go home safe every night at the end of the day. Working with people, I mean, it's a huge part of what I do day in and day out. Working with the juniors, the apprentices, even the executives on trying to help them understand their health and safety responsibilities. The Occupational Health and Safety Diploma program at BCIT is second to none. It really prepares you for the on-site, real-world situations that you're going to come up against. And that's why I chose BCIT.
BCIT's Occupational Health and Safety Diploma program is the most comprehensive program of its kind in Canada. Our students get in-class lectures and labs, but also hands-on experience and a practicum on-site to give them practical knowledge. Our students learn to recognize, evaluate, and control a variety of workplace hazards and worker exposures, such as noise exposure, lighting, fall protection, and any other chemical contaminants that might be found in the workplace.
Every industry will require some type of safety. So whether I choose to stay in healthcare or move into oil and gas or into mining or into engineering, there will always be a job for health and safety professionals.
Every day knowing that the workers get to go home safely to their family, to their children, that is probably the #1 factor in me pushing forward to get this done properly and correctly every day.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that presentation. That's, there were two of our graduates in that presentation who happened to work, both of the, one was in a manufacturing facility, and then Amy in the video works in construction. So we'll just continue and our PowerPoint comes back up. So one of the key things you'll see later in the presentation is there's quite a wide diversity of areas that our graduates can go work.
And here we go.
No worries. So what is thanks, Julie. What is occupational health and safety? So it's really about protecting the workers in the work environment, and as a byproduct, the public as well. So we're going to talk about a few of the things our grads do. So next slide. Pardon. Okay, so who are we looking for? Strong communicators. I think we teach a lot of, sorry, another sneeze coming out, and I fought it. So we have a lot of technical aspect to what we do, but one of the strongest skills that someone can have is communication, right? Because you have to talk to lots of different people in our work environment. Typically, we're looking for students with some work experience. So we say here, 5 years work experience would be an asset, but we do accept candidates that have 2 or 3 years work experience. So it's good to come in with some experience so you can relate to what work actually is. So we have 2 options. We have our full-time diploma program. It takes 2 years to complete. And again, you learn not only the OH&S classes, but we also have business side classes, human resources, communication, and the basic health sciences you would find in the first 2 years of any bachelor's program is found in our diploma program. It is a full-time job. You really can't work while you're doing it, at least in the first year. There's classes Monday to Friday, pretty much all day, and then there's assignment and work and preparing for exams. So that's for people who want to enter into the field after completing a structured program. We also have a part-time program, self-paced, flexible learning. So we have it's broken up into two components: our associate certificate in foundations and our certificate in advanced safety management. So next slide. So talking about that program first, our associate certificate is 7 classes. Typically takes about a year and a half, I would say, to complete, although some people do take longer. It's a lot of people already working in industry. Maybe they joined a JOSH committee at work, a Joint Occupational Health and Safety Committee, or maybe they're already working in health and safety and they realize, well, I can make this a career. They start taking the classes because it will, that first certificate will make them eligible for becoming certified as a Canadian Registered Safety Technician. So that is a credential that you can get, a certification that you can get in safety. Once you've completed the foundations, you can complete the certificate in advanced safety management. That's an additional 15 courses. Again, typically 1 or 2 courses a semester, and it moves you into the higher tier of safety practitioners. Once you have finished that and you have the experience requirement, which is 4 years, you become eligible to sit this CRSP exam, which again, that is a certification that in some parts of regulation states that you need that to do some type of work like confined space entry work and other high risk activities. So what do you learn in the program? Safety management, leadership, conflict resolution, a lot of technical knowledge relating from things like fall protection, excavation, mobile equipment, elevated work platforms, blasting, as well as a lot of sampling type stuff where you can sample for noise, vibration. You'll see in a few slides. So there's a lot of heavy technical aspect to it, as well as a strong communications and management aspect to it. So, if our graduates can perform as generalists working across the OH&S space, which is the health environment, the safety, ergonomics, as well as psychological safety, and then you can move from, or they can specialize in any one particular area. I know people who specialize only in confined spaces or specialize in psychological safety. You can move from a safety officer role all the way to safety management. So again, now coming back to the diploma program, it is a lecture discussion-based course, about 30 hours of in-class time. We do case studies, we do field trips. Just recently, our students went to Seaspan's northern shipyard to do a tour of their facility. Students have done emergency management, activities in, I forget what city, I think it was Coquitlam, I think they went to. We have lots of labs, occupational hygiene labs in the second year, fire protection labs. We do ergonomics courses. And there's a lot of group work and some individual assignments. We have a safety program review, which is a capstone project done in our second year with an industry partner. So we do make sure people go out into industry and work with an industry partner for some actual practical experience, not just in the class. And as I said, field trips and job observations as well. So networking is probably the strongest aspect of the diploma program. We bring in a lot of guest lectures. There's career fairs. This is Canadian Society of Safety Engineering. Historically, they've been a group that we work with, but more so now they're leaning into, I just was talking to them a couple of weeks ago. They want to come in and have our students go job shadow. They want to do mentoring events. The AIHA already does that with our organization, the American Industrial Hygiene Association. So they were hosting their monthly meetings at BCIT in the evenings, so students could go to that. Our students have executive positions as student roles in these organizations for networking. We have NIOSH Week. We have lots of industry conferences that happen. Just our second years just attended the Western Safety Conference, which happened in May, the largest industry conference on the Western Canada, and from a wide range of industries. But even specific industries like construction, manufacturing, transport, tourism, they all have their own conferences. We have social events, meet and greets, speed mentoring, and as I said, lots of industry guest lectures. I would say almost weekly, we have someone coming in to speak to the students and possibly hire students. So our cohort at this point, about 70% of the students already have bachelor's degrees. So they're coming from a post-secondary background with some work experience. About, I would say 10 to 15 are usually WorkSafe funded. Students who come, they were injured at work or they're tradespeople who are coming back into the program. And the remaining, 10 to 15% are usually international students, many, masters, PhDs. 1 year we had 4 medical doctors who all graduated from our program and are doing very well in industry right now, able to transition into good careers, after coming in as international medical doctors. And so the median age of our group is around 30, but it varies from 25 all the way to the 50s. We have a very diverse cohort. What does an OH&S practitioner do? So some people confuse it with site safety, the person who's checking that you have hearing protection or hard hats on. That's not what we do. We really develop, implement, and monitor health and safety programs, safety management programs. So we work with private and government agencies. So WorkSafe as a regulator may come in, Environment Canada may come in, and we're the point contact for them. We look at legislation and make sure employers are compliant with it. We develop safety training programs for everything from confined spaces to JOSH committee training. It's legally mandated that there's 8 hours of joint occupational health and safety committee training that needs to happen for committees. That is a legislative requirement. So our grads will do that in-house for companies. We coordinate safety programs and strategies. For example, City of Vancouver does a lot of events. I know their landfill does like an annual event to have people come in and check out the landfill and what they're doing to safeguard worker and public health. And so we will put on those activities. Safety driven for transport safety regularly does pop-ups throughout the province to educate trucker transport companies and drivers about safety. And considering just this last week, we had another truck crash into overpass. That's a really important thing that needs to be done. And so our graduates will host those or put those together for them. We may lead committees like joint occupational health and safety committees, as I mentioned, or other committees in organizations. We may do technical aspects. We may do air quality, noise, temperature, vibration sampling, or you could be in a company where you do none of that and you bring a consultant in and you need to interpret the reports. So there's or you might be the consultant that comes in and does that. So there's a wide diversity of what we do. Next slide. So, one day you might be doing workplace inspections. You might be writing safe operating procedures. You may be doing risk assessments. You may do education training. There may be an accident you need to investigate. You may, host meetings for JOSH committees of work safe meetings or toolbox talks. We may do air sampling, or you're doing program reviews. You may, do some of this once in a while. You may do some of this never and have other people come do it and you just manage it, or you may do a lot of this regularly. It's very diverse depending on where you work. So what do our grads typically make? I would say the range right now is about 65 to 95K. 65 is actually on the low end. A lot of, there's a fair number of employers who still post those jobs, but a lot of our grads don't actually take those jobs because there's less graduates right now than there are employment opportunities. I would say 75 plus is the average salary right now. And I say plus because I have current grads who are about 85, 88K is not out of the ordinary for them to be offered, and more with the ability to do overtime, especially, for example, in the construction industry. Experienced grads can make over $100,000 fairly easily, especially if they do go and get the CRSP credential, because there's not that many people who have that certification in the country compared to the number of people who need to have that for certain regulated work. So lots of ability to increase their salary. Independent consulting is also an opportunity on graduates who work full time and they consult on the side. So really good benefits packages. So some job titles, it could be OH&S coordinator, environment specialist, officer, manager, director, advisor, consultant. HSE is something that you see in our job titles as well. So anything in the occupational or health and safety environment space is what our graduates do. So 95% of our grads are employed within 2 months of graduation. Lots of, as I said, opportunities for advancement and promotion. And you can continue on. Those with a bachelor's may end up doing a master's. Those without a bachelor's can get go into the environmental health program to complete their bachelor's or full-time, or they can go on and do a BBA. So we have grads who will do a BCIT business diploma or go somewhere else with our credential and complete, either an MBA or some other credential if they want to do that. So who hires our grads? Well, everybody does. So, our grads at educational institutions, we have grads at BCIT, UBC, SFU, Langara, Kwantlen, all over the place. Private consulting firms will hire our grads for companies that can't afford a full-time person. They'll hire consultants who send in our graduates to work on projects. Health authorities like just Vancouver Coastal, Fraser Health, PHSA, Vancouver Island Health, Interior Health, they all hire grads. Telecoms and utilities, BC Hydro, Fortis, TELUS, Roger Shaw, they all hire grads. School boards, there's lots of different school boards in the province. I couldn't even begin naming them. They all hire grads. The cities, Richmond, Surrey, Burnaby, New West, Coquitlam, Abbotsford, they all hire grads. And then on top of that, there's the regional districts, right? So there's a GVRD, it's called Metro Vancouver, the Fraser Valley Regional District, and all the regional districts, which is an amalgamation of the cities, hires our graduates. And those are all kind of the public institutions. There's all private companies as well too, right? So agriculture, film production, we're Hollywood North. There's a lot of film and media work that happens here. They hire grads. Construction is a big employer for us. Forestry, food production, manufacturing, various other government agencies. Oil and gas is a big employer, especially in northeastern BC and Alberta. Transportation, ever since the introduction of the MELT program and a lot of transport-related accidents, there's a bigger focus on health and safety, and various office environments as well. So anywhere you have workers, our grads work. So this is Adrian. He's a graduate and he's in industry now. I worked as a server and a landscaper before entering the BCIT OH&S diploma program. Thanks to the quality instruction I received from the wonderful instructors. Thanks, Adrian. As well as the wisdom shared by our guest speakers. Again, he makes a point of that because we bring so many people in. I'm ready to take the next steps. The program has prepared me for a long, rewarding career in the field of OH&S. And, Adrian picked the job he wanted. He had options when he graduated. And he's out there in industry right now working. And so admission, I'll do a little bit on this slide. And then, our intake is actually closing tomorrow for the diploma program. So if you meet the requirements, we opened, it says October 1 to April 4th, but we did open a second domestic only intake. So it's for domestic students only. You can have till tomorrow to apply. So if you meet the requirements, I strongly suggest we have a couple seats left right now, to put an application in by tomorrow, end of day. Our certificate program, we have 3 intakes, September, January, and April. It's not really an intake, you just register for the classes. And when you complete the classes, you can, there's no prerequisites, you can apply for the credential. And you can reach out to myself or the program head for that. His name is David Wood if you have more information, you want more information. The application steps, well, you look at our requirements, you get your documents, you upload them, they are reviewed, and the really important part is the mandatory questionnaire on top of all the, having the basic health sciences requirements from grade 11 and English 12. So it's math, physics, Chem 11, and English 12, I believe. I'll have to double check. I was kind of blank on the exact requirements. And that's because, intake is done by BCIT. I only look at the applications once they meet the minimum requirements. I would say if you are thinking of applying for our fall intake, thank you, Maninder, for putting the entry requirements up on the chat. So you take a look there. Do a good job on your application questionnaire, because that does really let us know who you are as a student. So yeah, I'll just to correct myself, it is English 12 or equivalent, chemistry 11, physics 11, and a math 12 equivalent. So that I said math 11, but it's a math 12 equivalent. If you're a domestic applicant, I would cut that down ASAP if you're looking to apply for the fall 2023 term. If you're looking to prepare for next year, then you have some time, and the intake for that will open in October 2023. And so, yeah, they're right here, those requirements that Maninder had linked for us. So again, English 12, 2 years of equivalent education in English, chemistry 11, physics 11, math 12. Our program is considered the first 2 years of science equivalent for university. So we do have physics and math classes all the way into the second year for the program, because of the occupational hygiene and the technical nature of those courses. And again, the mandatory application questionnaire. And the preferred requirements, of course, good academic background, minimum 5 years, minimum in the sense as we prefer that, but you can apply with less. I mean, we do still get students admitted with less, and additional post-secondary will always help the application. So yeah, this is more the admission side of it, on how you upload your documents. So you can always reach out to admissions if you have more questions about that. People have gone to BCIT before; they don't need to upload their transcripts because those are already in the system. So the admissions looks at the applications, all the ones that meet the minimum requirements get sent to myself for review. I don't look at applications before that. Sometimes students reach out to me. I'm happy to provide some feedback, but generally send them back to admissions for any questions. And if you are offered a seat, you'll get an acceptance letter, and you need to pay your commitment fee and your tuition, and you're ready to go. And as I said, you can ladder in the program. So we have students who complete the diploma. If they don't have another credential, they may continue on to complete a bachelor's, either in environmental health or in technology management or in business. And then there's some who have a bachelor's may go on to do a master's somewhere else. For example, some grads have gone to do an MBA at Royal Roads, for example. Program advising, you can reach out to them and they can assist you by phone, Zoom, in person, or email. So they're great to support students. I'm Manindra. I don't know if you wanted to say anything at this about that.
Yeah, sure, Bobby. I can mention a few things. Hi, everyone. Just to let you know, if you have any questions about whether you meet an entrance requirement or if you are needing to work on a specific requirement and are wondering what your best options are, we can definitely provide you with that information. There are upgrading options available at BCIT and outside of BCIT. Some are very flexible courses that you can get into immediately and work at your own pace. They tend to be online. And then there are some courses that you can take that are more structured. For example, at BCIT, that would be a term and you attend classes on campus. There's a variety of options. Some are tuition free, some are for a fee as well. And so if you are looking to do some upgrading, I would encourage you to connect with us in advising. And I'm going to put our contact link in so you can see the services that we offer, and please use a service that works best for you. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Yeah, admissions is great to direct students either to open learning classes or to the BCIT Tech Entry program if you're missing a number of requirements for next year. So please do reach out to them if you have any questions. Next slide.
Thanks. Now, moving from the academics, I would like to let you know that BCIT is committed to supporting students in a holistic sense. We want you to succeed not only in your academics, but also outside of school. Some of the student services are available to you as a prospective student, and some of them are available to you once you become an enrolled student. Here are some of the important student supports I'd like to mention. If you are Indigenous, BCIT's Indigenous Initiatives Department is there for you to ensure a smooth transition into your first year. They offer peer-to-peer mentorship, a welcoming gathering place, and provide clarification on Indigenous funding. BCIT's awards, scholarships, and bursaries are listed on our financial aid and awards webpage. I'd like to mention that we have a President's Entrance Award, and selection is based on academic achievement, but also volunteer and community service. Please contact them directly for more information. We have a health clinic located on the Burnaby campus. They provide medical care for current BCIT students year-round. We have a counseling and student development department available to enhance your educational performance and maximize success as a student at BCIT. And my favorite, recreation services promotes, encourages, and enables the practice of physical well-being. We have an open gym. We have a gym with workout machines. We have a sauna. We have a steam room. We have a field with a track. So there is a lot to consider with recreation as an integral part of campus life, and we welcome all the students to enjoy the services. Here are our social media handles, from Facebook to Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And if you wanted to book a tour, spend a day, come to an info session in the future, all of the links are listed there. I'd like to open it up now for the question and answers. If anybody has any questions, just please take your mic off mute or put the question in the chat.
Bobby, can I get you to maybe provide a little bit more overview of the process of getting the CRSP after the diploma?
Sure. Yeah. So the CRSP is in Canada is the certification for safety or designation, I would say. As I said, most safety practitioners don't have it, but there's a certain amount of regulated work that if you do have it, for example, if you're going to work in confined spaces, one of the key criteria is that you have a CRSP who oversees it. And, regulators fine a lot for confined spaces. So CRSPs absolutely get paid more and have a lot more employment options and portability. So to Maninder's point, the process is you need to have an approved, I would say an academic institution that meets the CRSP's kind of guidelines. They are actually heading towards accreditation right now. So in a couple of years, you would have to graduate from an accredited program. I'm one of the people on the accreditation committee. So BCIT is moving towards that to be one of those accredited programs. Right now, there are none. So, graduating from our program, plus 4 years work experience for the CRSP, that makes you eligible to write the national exam. And the CRSP, which is the Technician Entry Practice Program, that's after 1 year of work. Or if you graduate from our program, they waive the 1 year requirement. So again, the benefit of coming to our program is as soon as you graduate, you can sit that exam. I have some graduates who are now planning to sit that exam after graduating just as today, actually, pretty much, as we're finishing off the term. And the benefits of that is actually that we have the CRSP has reciprocal agreements with the states and their program, which is called the CSP. They just don't have the R. The UK, which is called IOSH, and Australia, which I forget the name of theirs. They have one as well. New Zealand, Singapore. So they have reciprocal agreements that allow you to get those credentials. You just kind of have to write the exam. You don't have to go through any of the pre-vetting. So getting that CRSP once you've gone through our program and got work experience really does open up the world, if that's what you're interested in. And some of the guest lecturers who come into our program work internationally. Some of them are retired, and some of them are, that's just what they do. They work around the world in the health and safety space, which is really underserved outside of Western developed worlds for sure. There is a bigger appetite in the developing world for health and safety. So it's a long answer to your question, Maninda. It's a really good question. That our program helps open up an incredible amount of job options both in Canada and internationally. So if you have anybody else has questions about that, let me know. I have a question. Emmanuel, I have a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronic engineering and NIBOSH certificate in health and safety management. I hope to qualify as an international student from Ghana, more than 6 years experience. So that's good, Manuel. I mean, we are closed for international students right now. You would have to apply for the next session. But I will say our program is an entry to practice program. So if you have a NIBOSH certificate plus 6 years of practice, I would suggest you actually look for a job in health and safety in Canada, not necessarily repeat your education. I understand the Canadian system is a little difficult sometimes for people to come in. So if you feel that this is the path for you to open up some doors, you're more than welcome to apply for our program, and you would be eligible to enter our program. And that would help you transition into a career for sure. But that would have to be for the next academic setting.
While we're waiting, I would just like to say that a copy of the slide presentation and a link to the recorded video will be sent to all of the registrants sometime next week. There are more info sessions all week, so feel free to join any or all of them. And I thank you all for being with us today. Feel free also, we'll take a couple more minutes and just stay online in case you do have any other questions. And you can just put it in the chat.
I can see Emmanuel's hand up.
Go ahead, Emmanuel, just unmute yourself and ask.
Yeah, good morning, good evening. We are in the evening in Ghana here. So if I got the answer the facilitator was saying, he's saying I can also apply for job in Canada, which I didn't get it well, because my aim is to get the diploma in health and safety. But he said something and I didn't get it well. So if he can come back and explain it well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can apply to our program for sure for the fall 2024 year, so next year, because our program is closed now for international students. So that would be in October 2023. But I would say because of your experience, I would first try to, apply to work in Canada, because you have ours is an entry to practice program. But of course, because of coming from internationally, sometimes it's difficult. So you could enter our program. My first suggestion would be always to try to transition your existing experience, because you have experience, right, into a career. But I mean, if that's not a challenge, it can be sometimes. Then definitely we do have OH&S professionals with previous experience who come through our program, and the ones that we've had, I have gone on to get careers for sure.
Okay. But second, do you have like agents that's maybe possible as work, they can help in getting work, or the other school has something of that sort to help international students?
Yes, we have a BCIT
Yeah.
international program you could reach out to, and I can't speak to them about work placement. They help students. So Maninder, did you want to say something about that?
Sure, I can. So I'll also put in the contact information for international students. We have an international student center that you can connect with any questions regarding study permits, work permits, the process, and lots of additional information, even just support for you while you're a student. We do have agents in different countries. We don't recommend any specific agent. So that is research you have to do on your own, but there could be an agent. You don't need an agent to apply. You may apply directly to BCIT. That is not required. So I'll put it in the chat, the international webpage information.
Okay, but my experience is more in electrical electronics, especially chemical engineering, not much in health and safety. What I've been doing on health and safety is maybe I get training opportunity to train workers on health and safety. But well, are you advising that I should look for a job in engineering so that I can continue my education in health and safety? That's what you're advising.
No, I thought you had a background in health and safety specifically. I know you said you had an electrical engineering degree. If you are more entry to practice, then yes, you should come through our program. If you don't specifically work in health and safety and your 6 years is not in health and safety, I can't really comment on whether you should go into engineering or not. That's really a personal choice. You have to look at the options available. But if you're looking to build a career in health and safety and you're more, that's not where you currently work, I misunderstood that, then yes, our program would be ideal for you.
Okay. I want to build up on the safety. I want to do the diploma. That's why I joined your program to understand. Yeah,
you're more than welcome to apply for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't mind, you can later they can send me a link on my email on things that I read more about.
Yeah, I did. I believe I responded to an email you had sent me. You can always email me again. I'm happy to, talk. We also do have, students in the program right now and more coming in. I don't think from Ghana, but probably from other parts in Africa. So, but if you want to talk to somebody in the program who's gone probably through the application journey you are, I can always try to connect you as well. Just reach out and talk to me, email me about that.
Okay, thank you.
And I think Donalyn has a question. If you can unmute yourself.
Hi, good afternoon. I just wanted to ask regarding the entrance requirements, because I am actually a permanent resident here in Canada. I just landed last February. And then I just wanted to ask because I'm internationally educated, I was educated back in the Philippines. I have a background in healthcare, which is with the respiratory therapy. But I'm really I wanted to enter the health and safety aspect of the industry, and I just wanted to ask do I need to retake the English 12, the chemistry 11, physics, and math?
So based on my experience, if you actually have PR, you count as a domestic student first off, which is good because the fee's a lot lower. I have had students come through from the Philippines before. You basically we have to look at your credentials to see if you meet equivalence. So if you're interested in this year, you need to put an application in right away and submit what you have available for them to look at. If it's for next year, you have more time to do that. I think your English requirement probably will be the challenge, because I don't know how the other ones, from my experience, students usually have some equivalency, especially if they've gone to university. It's usually the English requirement that becomes a challenge to meet. Maninder, did you want to comment further on that?
No, that's correct what you've stated. In most cases, students internationally can meet the math and science requirements with either their high school education or their post-secondary. And so there's a possibility you may fulfill that, but that would have to be reviewed with our admissions department. English, if you have not done English outside of the Philippines, you would have to use one of the options we currently have to fulfill the English requirement. And there are tests such as Duolingo, IELTS, TOEFL, BCIT exams as well. So I can put that in the chat, your options for meeting the English requirement. If you are going to be applying for next year, there are some changes coming to how you can meet the English requirement. And in some respects, the process is becoming a little bit more streamlined, and we're making some changes in favor of the student. And so please note, if you will be applying for September 2024, that you probably want to check your English options in around May. And this document that I'm going to send you right now will be updated by then, or should be, I should state.
So is that next May, Maninder?
Yes.
Thank you.
And feel free to email me if you have further questions about the program.
If there's no further questions, I'd like to say thank you to Bobby and Maninder and for everyone for attending. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Julie and Maninder.